Have you ever been in a room full of noise, where everyone's talking, laughing, showing off, yet no one truly sees you? You nod politely. You say something real, something honest, but by the time your sentence lands, someone's already checked their phone. Someone else interrupts. And just like that, your words vanish, as if they were never there. So you try again. Louder this time. Sharper. Funnier. You shape your voice to match the volume of the room, hoping this time they'll hear you. But deep inside, something starts to feel wrong. A quiet voice inside you whispers, "Why am I performing just to be seen?" If you've ever felt like your presence was muted, your voice ignored, or your worth unnoticed, this video will show you how to reclaim it, without saying a single word. Because the most powerful men don't explain, they don't chase, they don't react, they stay silent, and everything aligns around them. There's a kind of man who walks into a room and doesn't need to prove a thing. His silence makes people shift. His restraint makes people listen. He doesn't have to speak first or loudest, because his presence speaks long before he does. In the next few minutes, you'll learn why silence is no longer weakness. It's your most commanding move. You'll see why the men who are respected, feared, and followed are the ones who say less and watch more. And if you've ever been tired of proving, explaining, or defending your value, stay. Because what you'll hear today won't just shift how you move. It might just restore who you are. This isn't about being passive. It's about being deliberate. This isn't about running away. It's about walking in a straight line. So calm, so grounded, that the world has no choice but to adjust to your presence. Let the noise continue around you. Let them talk over each other. You'll learn to move in silence and let everything fall into place. Reveal the trap. Why you keep losing power. And don't even know it. Most men don't realize they've given away their power until it's already gone. Not because someone stole it, but because they handed it over. One explanation at a time. One awkward laugh. One quiet, desperate, "Please understand me." It starts with something small. You speak your truth. Honest, real, vulnerable. And someone laughs. So, next time, you filter it. Then you speak louder. Then you over-explain so they don't misunderstand. And before you know it, you're talking too much, proving too much, chasing too much. That's the trap. You believe the more you explain, the more respect you'll earn. You think the louder you speak, the more they'll hear you. But the truth is, the moment you start seeking to be understood, you lose authority, because power never asks to be seen. It simply exists. You lose strength every time you answer questions that don't deserve answers. You give away energy every time you open up to someone who hasn't earned your trust. You surrender command every time you speak your next move before making it, and the world is watching. People can sense when you need their validation to feel whole. And the moment they sense it, they stop valuing it. You become the man who's always trying to be heard, trying to be accepted, trying to fix things that should have never been explained in the first place. And trying always smells like weakness. There's an invisible currency in life that no one talks about. Not words, not image. Energy. The moment you speak too much, explain too fast, or react too quickly, you devalue yours. Because energy, when scattered, becomes cheap, but energy, when withheld, deliberately, patiently, calmly, becomes magnetic. People don't respect the man who talks the most. They respect the man whose silence makes others pause. The Stoics knew this long before we had a name for it. Heraclitus said, To be even-minded is the greatest virtue. Silence wasn't passive. It was their weapon against noise, desperation, and emotional exposure. When your emotions take the lead, your enemies don't have to outthink you. They just have to observe. When you explain every step, every dream, every feeling, they don't have to stop you. They just wait for you to sabotage yourself. So here's the brutal truth no one taught you. The more you perform, the less power you carry. The more you try to be liked, the less magnetic you become. The more you seek to be understood, the less people respect your stance. Power isn't loud. It's not the man who fills the room with sound. It's the man who walks in and doesn't have to say a thing. And you felt that before. When someone speaks slow, sparse, and steady, and everyone listens, not because he's louder, but because he says less, you don't win by saying more. You win by mastering what you don't say. So ask yourself, honestly, how many times have you tried to explain your worth to people who didn't care? How often have you handed your voice to people who never earned your silence? How much strength have you wasted just trying to be understood? It ends now. You don't need to defend your value. You need to protect your energy. Because what's rare is respected, what's quiet is observed, and what doesn't chase commands. So stop explaining, stop reacting. Become the kind of man whose presence speaks before he does. Tactic 1. Strategic silence. Winning without words. There's a moment, right before you speak, when power either builds or evaporates. That pause, that breath, that decision to say something or say nothing is where the entire game is won or lost. Most men waste that moment. They rush to respond. They defend themselves too quickly. They fill the air just to not feel exposed. But silence, when mastered, is not weakness. It's not passivity. It's positioning. Silence isn't doing nothing. It's doing just enough. It's letting the tension work for you. It's creating space that forces the other person to wonder, second-guess, unravel. You see, the modern world has taught you that the fastest speaker wins, that quick wit equals intelligence, that immediate reaction means control. But it's all backward. True control is measured in restraint. Real intelligence is knowing what not to say. And power, real, earned, unshakable power, moves slower than the noise around it. Most people speak to control the room. Stoic men command it by not needing to. Silence is strategy. Not every insult deserves an answer. Not every challenge needs a counter. Not every room needs to hear your side of the story. When you speak from pressure, you leak power. But when you hold your tongue, not out of fear, but discipline, you become unpredictable. And unpredictable men are dangerous. Strategic silence isn't about pretending to be deep. It's about recognizing that words, once given, can't be taken back. It's understanding that the more you speak, the more you reveal, and the more they can use. But when you say little and observe much, you gather intel. No one knows you're collecting. You learn who respects the quiet and who fears it. You see who fills the silence with noise, because they're uncomfortable with your presence. Silence makes people show their hand, and that's the point. Let them talk. Let them overshare. Let them try to decode your stillness while they exhaust themselves proving what you already know. They're not in control. You are. In a meeting, when everyone's shouting for air, stay still. When your name's being thrown around, don't correct them. When someone tries to bait you into reacting, don't bite. You don't need to clarify. You don't need to defend. You don't need to correct every misconception, because the man who rises to every accusation falls to them. You don't gain control by fighting noise with noise. You gain it by removing your energy from chaos. Strategic silence is what makes leaders terrifying and magnetic. It creates space. And in that space, people project power onto you, curiosity onto you, uncertainty onto you. And the more they don't know what you're thinking, the more they assume you know something they don't. That's what you want. The man who knows how to speak when it matters and shut up when it doesn't is the man no one wants to cross. Because you don't know what's coming, you don't know what he's thinking. You can't get a read. And that unreadability, that's dominance. Epictetus once said, "Be silent for the most part, or speak only what is necessary." And in few words, the Stoics didn't just tolerate silence, they wielded it as a blade, as a boundary, as a battlefield they always controlled. So the next time you feel that burning need to reply, to argue, to prove your side, pause. Ask yourself, is this clarity or ego? Because the men who can sit in the fire without flinching, without defending, without chasing comfort through words, those are the men people fear, respect, and never forget. Be that man. Let the silence speak what your voice no longer has to. Tactic 2. Stop explaining. Let them show themselves. There's something you need to understand. People don't ignore explanations because they don't hear you. They ignore them because they don't care. You could give them context, backstory, your heart on a silver plate. But if they've already decided not to respect you, no amount of talking will make them change their mind. The more you explain, the more it looks like you're pleading for understanding. And nothing drains your masculine presence faster than trying to convince someone of your worth. That's not your job. You weren't put on this earth to constantly validate your identity. You're not here to beg for a fair hearing. The truth is this: when you stop explaining yourself, something powerful happens. People begin to reveal who they truly are. The friend who only listens when you're loud disappears when you go quiet. The woman who only shows affection when you chase fades when you stop running. The colleague who nods while you speak starts cutting you off when you stop over-justifying. In silence, the masks fall off. That's the gift of restraint. When you pull back your need to explain, you stop giving people tools to manipulate your reality. You no longer give them a map of your inner world. You no longer hand them the power to tell your story for you. Because here's the truth: most men never hear. Those who really care about you don't need long explanations. They watch your actions. They feel your presence. They read between your silences, and they still stay. But those who need endless proof, they're not listening. They're measuring, and that's a game you never win. So stop trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. Stop pleading your case to people who already made their judgment. Stop over-explaining to earn a seat at tables where you were never meant to sit in the first place. You see, people don't fall away when you get quiet because you've changed. They fall away because you've finally become clear. You're no longer bending to make them comfortable. You're no longer broadcasting your intentions just to calm their insecurity. You've stopped handing them explanations, and without that leverage, they leave. Good. That's not abandonment. That's filtration. That's silence doing its real work. Not just protecting your peace, but exposing who was never aligned with it. Zeno of Citium, the father of Stoicism, put it perfectly. If someone speaks ill of you, live in such a way that no one will believe it. That's what this tactic is. It's not passivity. It's posture. Let your actions whisper what your ego used to scream. Let people misunderstand you. Let them invent stories. Let them assume. Because in time, if you're consistent, grounded, and calm, reality has a way of correcting false perceptions. And those who were meant to walk with you will recognize your value without needing to be told. You don't have to fight for every friendship, every relationship, every perception. Some things aren't lost. They're revealed. When you stop explaining, you don't lose people. You lose the illusion of connection, and what's left behind is real. So from now on, let silence do the heavy lifting. Let presence replace persuasion. Let your daily consistency say what your words no longer need to prove. You don't have to explain, you just have to be, and the right ones will feel it. Tactic 3. Stop chasing, start attracting. Every time you chase, you confirm that you don't have it, that you're not it, that you need something outside yourself to feel complete. And the world senses that hunger, that imbalance, that quiet desperation behind the compliments, the favors, the over-availability. What you chase runs, and what runs loses respect for what's chasing it. Most men don't lose their power in one dramatic moment. They leak it slowly, through every text they shouldn't have sent, every meeting they begged for, every woman they tried to impress by trying too hard. Not because they're weak, but because they confuse effort with alignment. They believe that pursuit is a sign of strength, but true strength doesn't pursue, it pulls. The more you chase validation, attention, affection, or status, the more you teach others that your self-worth depends on their recognition. And the moment they feel that, they begin to pull away. They test you. They control the pace. They create distance, because, whether they admit it or not, people lose respect for what needs them too much. But when you stop chasing, when you plant your feet, calm your spirit, and embrace the silence, that's when the current shifts. You go from seeker to selector, from follower to foundation, from background noise to gravitational force. What you attract in stillness will always outrank what you beg for in motion. You don't pull people in by proving, you do it by anchoring into your values, your discipline, your calm, your presence. You let go of the game. You reclaim the frame. That woman you once chased, let her absence unfold without resistance. That friend who grew distant, accept the distance without force. That opportunity that slipped away, let it go. What's aligned will return, without your pursuit. If it's meant to be yours, it will not require you to abandon yourself to obtain it. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up, if thou wilt always look." All. This is not poetry. It's instruction. Stop searching for proof that you matter. Start becoming the man who doesn't need to be convinced. When you chase, you surrender the upper hand. But when you remain steady, measured, silent, grounded, you become unreadable. And unreadable is powerful. Unreadable is respected. Let them wonder why you stopped reaching out. Let them feel the vacuum where your effort used to be. Let them miss the man who once tried too hard. That silence, that absence, is your lewdest move. It carries weight. It demands reflection. It shows them you don't need the connection to define you. You are the connection. You are the standard. So stop leaning forward in every room, every conversation, every dynamic. Sit back. Stand firm. Speak less. Move with intention, not urgency. Let your stillness spark curiosity. Let your calmness be the tension. Because the moment you stop chasing, you start attracting, and eventually, you'll realize you were the prize all along. Tactic 4. Move in the dark. You don't owe the world your blueprint. You don't need to broadcast your next move, your healing, your growth, or your plan. Every time you speak too early, you give people a target. Every time you reveal too much, you hand over leverage. Not everyone wants to see you rise. Some only support you when they believe you're staying beneath them. That's why you must learn to move in the dark. Not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting something sacred, your momentum. There's a different kind of power that comes from keeping your vision quiet. While others talk, you build. While they watch, you shift. While they try to read you, you cross a line they never even saw. That's the weapon of silence. It transforms you from predictable to unreadable. And unreadable men don't get interrupted. They don't get pulled off course. They become forces. Most people speak their dreams, hoping someone will validate them. But when you speak too soon, you weaken the energy. You invite noise, envy, doubt. You give away what should have been cultivated in solitude. Let your plans breathe in silence. Let your ambition live behind your eyes, not your lips. You don't need to be seen trying. You need to be felt arriving. Rex's Seneca wrote, "It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness." And men who walk that path don't do it loudly. They don't beg for recognition. They keep moving, quietly, relentlessly, intentionally. Real power doesn't crave applause. It craves progress. It thrives in quiet rooms, in early mornings, in sacrifices no one sees. So stop updating people who aren't invested. Stop explaining your direction to those who haven't earned access. Stop thinking the world needs to see the climb, to respect the view. It doesn't. The right ones will notice when it matters. The rest were never meant to. The next time you're tempted to explain where you're going, don't let them think you've slowed down. Let them believe you've faded. While in reality, you're sharpening. You're cleaning the clutter, burning the noise, getting leaner, smarter, stronger. Not for their approval, but for your return. Because once you reappear, it won't be for applause. It'll be to execute. And the silence that came before it, that's what makes the impact so loud. You move in the dark so that no one can sabotage the light. You move without noise so your results don't come with disclaimers. By the time they see what you've done, it'll already be finished. And you won't need to say a word. Because the results will speak. The growth will speak. The silence will speak. And in that moment, everything you built will command the respect your words never could. That's how a man of power moves. He doesn't announce. He doesn't perform. He disappears. And then he arrives. Transformed. Focused. Untouchable. And no one saw it coming. Because he moved in the dark. You've been taught that speaking up is how you gain power. That being more available, more agreeable, more explainable is how you become respected. But now you know better. You don't reclaim your power by being louder. You reclaim it by becoming deliberate, calm, silent, unreadable. Because true presence doesn't need permission. It doesn't beg to be understood. It simply stands, and the world adjusts. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is already shifting. You're done chasing people who don't respect your silence. You're done explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You're done leaking energy for validation you never needed. From here forward, your stillness is your statement. Your discipline is your posture. And your absence is your loudest move. You'll walk through rooms without needing to speak. You'll handle disrespect without losing composure. You'll show up when it matters, and vanish when it's time to build. Because the man who no longer needs to be seen becomes the one they can't ignore. Because what's meant for a grounded man never needs to be begged for. It finds him in his stillness. And before you go, answer this in the comments. When did you realize that explaining yourself was costing you power? You don't need a paragraph, just a moment. A shift. That one silence that changed everything. Because your story might wake up someone else who's still stuck in the trap. And if this message hit something deep in you, you're not the only one. There are men out there, tired of being ignored, tired of proving themselves, tired of chasing what never respected them in the first place. Subscribing doesn't just help you stay grounded. It helps this message reach another man who's still lost in the noise, a man who's one video away from waking up. By doing that, you're not just upgrading your own life. You're helping build a space for masculine clarity, discipline, and quiet strength. In a world that rewards noise, that's a rebellion worth joining.